online, and this is a social media Google Hangout, and I'm pleased to launch it. This is my first episode. We're talking about social media in business, and I am truly honored today to be speaking with a friend of mine that I've met online, and actually today is the first time we've spoke voice to voice, but we've chatted many times. Jennifer Allwood, who is the owner of
The
Line,
Magic Brush.
and this is a social media Google Hangout, and I'm pleased to launch it. This is my first episode.
Am I
We're
talking to
talking about
myself?
social media in business, and
You
I
hear
am
that?
truly honored today to be
I don't
speaking
know
with
how I'm talking to
a friend of
myself.
mine
How
that
fun
I've
is
met
this?
online, and actually today is the first time
We're
we've
learning together
spoken.
here.
There it is.
There we go.
You know, when you have too many windows open and you're supposed to be the social media expert, this is what happens.
Well, and grace to you because I have no idea if I'm going to have something like ring in the background or pop up on my screen or what's going to happen. So first time for me in Google Hangout. Thank you so much for calling or dialing in or however you want to say that. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you, Jennifer, and I do appreciate you taking your time out of your day. I know you are super busy. You've got a lot going on, and you know, all of this is really to talk about, you know, as a small business, you know, what are some of the things that you're doing, some of the things that somebody out there may glean from you, whether they're in your industry or whether they're just a small business person trying to make it each and every day. So I'm glad to speak with you because I follow your, you know, it's funny because I'm not a DIY guy. I will
Yeah,
tell you that whenever I'm fixing something, they want to take the tools away from me.
I
But
understand.
I literally I follow your I have followed your Facebook page almost every day, and it's funny because I don't do any of that, but yet I follow your page. So it's
You're not the first person to tell me that, actually. Well, my Facebook page is called The Magic Brush, if anybody wants to do a search for that. And I know I do a lot of DIY because I own a decorative painting company, but I also try to mix in my faith and encouraging words and things that you can use like for decorating or painting that maybe aren't DIY projects, but just things to inspire you in your own home. So I try to provide a good mix. So thank you for coming to that every day. I appreciate it. I love my Facebook page.
And you know, I can tell that because you know you I can tell you have a personal hand on it, and that's what I think. To me, that's what I think helps as a business is when you really have a personal hand in it. It does something unique to your page, you know, because people I think they know they're talking to you, and we'll probably talk a little bit more about this. They know they're talking to you, and when they know they're talking to you, they just there's just a power of attraction in that.
Yeah, yeah, I've been real adamant. At this point, I've got a little over 53,000 people on my Facebook page, which just kind of blows my mind away. Last year at this time, I was at about 2,000, so that is a huge increase of 50,000 people in the course of less than a year. But I am adamant that I am the only person that's putting things on my Facebook page. I'm the only one that's responding to comments, and I can't respond to every comment at this point because that's a lot of comments. But I definitely want it to be my voice. I want to be the one that's responding to people and that's posting, and so I've been pretty adamant about that from the beginning.
Well, tell me, just let's just kind of go back in history. You know what, you know, and you told everybody what a little bit your business is, but what made you start it? How did you get into this? Was it just a hobby, you know, turned into a business? I mean, what was your journey in this?
Okay, so about 14 years ago, I was working at a local, I live in Kansas City, and I was working for a local telecom company as a software developer. I have a degree in computers, which is just absolutely insane considering I didn't know how to get on Google Hangouts. So I had my computer degree, and I worked at a desk job that literally I hated. I would spend my time Googling like faux finishes or Googling house pictures. And 14 years ago, the internet wasn't quite like where it is today, but there were lots of things that I would waste my company's time, unfortunately, because I didn't have enough to do, and my heart was somewhere else. And so thankfully, God saw to it that I got let go from that job in a corporate downsizing. And, I boo-hooed for a couple of days and couldn't believe they didn't want me anymore. But it turned out to be the very best thing that could have ever happened to me. I mean, it scares me to think if I had not been laid off of where I would be today, because it forced me to take a passion that I had and actually try to make it into a job. It's one thing, because I had been kind of messing around with like faux finishing in people's houses on the weekend.
Right.
My husband would go with me, and we did a couple of jobs here and there. But when you're actually forced to start making money at something or starve,
Yeah. Yeah.
then it just takes your business to a whole new level. Like all of a sudden I'm like, okay, I got to make this official. I actually have to like pick out an official business name and get like a business card and a business license and an accountant. And we have just never looked back since. When I had originally gotten laid off, I thought, with my husband's blessing, I had his blessing to just, let's see where this painting thing takes me. And
Right.
shortly thereafter, I got pregnant with my first child, and I thought, okay, now how is this going to work? Because painting when you're pregnant usually doesn't work real well. And so I ended up painting until my 8th month of pregnancy, and then I hired my sister-in-law to help me faux finish because she had the same passion I did. She loved painting as well, and so
Right.
she was the first subcontractor that I had, and today I have anywhere between 4 to 6 girls on any given day that are working for me in people's homes. So, it's taken 14 years to evolve, and I'm so fortunate.
Yeah, it's really not the traditional start, but I think in today's economy, I think a lot of people are faced with this same scenario, and they're realizing that their passions that they're dabbling in can become their business.
Yeah. Well, and what's fascinating is that when you do what you really love, the thing that you can roll out of bed in the morning and just talk to people about, then the money just seems to kind of follow that. Um, God's been so faithful through the years, because there were different times when we'd slow down just a little bit, and I would think, oh gosh, is this it? Is this where I'm going to have to go back and get a normal job? And thankfully, that's never been the case. When you are self-employed, you kind of learn that you have to hustle too. I mean, it's up to you to go out and market yourself and try to find work and make yourself presentable to people that want to employ you. And so it's just a game changer. I love self-employed people. I love small businesses. I try to give them shout outs on my Facebook page all the time, because I just think that small businesses make the world go round. It's a special breed of people.
Right. So let me ask you this, and kind of launching into how you grew your business. You go back, I guess around the year 2000. I guess that happened about then. The internet was around. It wasn't. Obviously social media wasn't per se like it is now. So what were some of the things that you used back then to try to grow your business? Was it just hustle? Was it just get out and
You're
go
going
and?
to laugh when I tell you this, Jason. Okay, so I used this thing called a phone book, and remember those?
What?
I used the phone book, and I literally teared out the yellow pages of every interior designer and every interior decorator that lived in my area of Kansas City. And I either called them, or if there was an address and they had like a store, I showed up on their doorsteps with my little portfolio of faux finishes and asked if I could show them my samples. And so very quickly I learned that it's okay to be rejected, because you face a lot of rejection doing that. I mean, it's almost like door-to-door sales in a way, cold calling people. Sure. And by the grace of God, I got hooked up with a couple of interior designers who, worked in big, beautiful houses that were looking for someone to do their faux finishing. And right off the bat, one of my very first jobs was almost $1 million house. And I'll never forget it, because I can remember working in that house thinking, they hired me and I am brand new to this. I mean, I think it's funny. I was listening to a podcast from somebody the other day who was talking about brain surgeons. And he was saying that every brain surgeon has to do their first brain surgery at some time. He's not going to get a patient on his table and go, no, 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 I can't do this. I've never done brain surgery before. He has
Right.
to start somewhere. And that's every single business. I had to start in some house. And so I just remember thinking, I cannot believe I'm here and doing this. I sure hope it turns out well. And it did.
Yeah,
And
don't touch nothing. Don't drop nothing.
exactly.
Well, wow. So what do you feel like as you went from there, and obviously, and I'm trying to tie in the internet and social media and how it can grow. Where do you think where was a launching pad for your business? I mean,
Sure.
obviously you're going house to house and all that, and that's a grind. I mean, I'm
That
sure
was.
it's tough.
Yeah, that didn't last, but a year or two until I got in with some designers, and then along the way some builders, and then probably I would say about 6 or 7 years ago I started to blog, and I enjoyed blogging about my projects, and that was wonderful. But about a year or so ago, it became obvious that I needed like an official WordPress site
Right,
for my
right,
blog,
right, right.
and I was going to start selling instructional e-videos that people could buy off my website. So I had to make the switch from Blogger, which was really sweet and safe, and I blogged there for 5 years, over to WordPress. And so I made that switch, and then I really started pushing my Facebook page. And Facebook for me is just a really natural fit. It's not hard for me to come up with things to say all day long. I mean, I could talk on
Right.
Facebook all day long. I love that. And so, I do have a Twitter account, I do have an Instagram, I do have a Pinterest, but my preference is Facebook. And I think obviously that shows because my numbers are all on Facebook as well. But so I think that the big change that really just kind of catapulted my business a year or so ago was the switch to WordPress and the big push on Facebook.
And by switch to WordPress, you're talking a full, themagicbrush.com.
Yeah, it's actually the Magic Brush Inc.
Okay.
Inc.com. But yes, you can go there, and of course, there's links on there to my Facebook and Instagram, and Pinterest. And I had to hire somebody to actually do that for me professionally because I think one place that small business owners get hung up is they want to do everything. They want to
Right.
have their hand in every facet of their business. And I did that for several years, and it feels very uncomfortable when you're trying to do things that you're really just not good at. And so even back on my old blog, when I was using Blogger, I did have somebody I hired off the internet. She was a stay-at-home mom to, make my header and things like that, because it's stuff that A, I'm not good at,
Right.
and B, it takes me twice as long as the people, or 3 times as long, that are actually, really great at it. And I could be using that time to spend on things that I am great at that are actually making me more income. And so I outsourced a lot of, building my web page. Well, I outsourced all of it. Setting up my shopping cart. I had somebody help me with like my Facebook header so that I wouldn't have to do that. I obviously do all my Facebook posts, but I've hired somebody to do all those things because I don't feel like I need to have control over every single of those things. I don't
Right.
want it.
Right.
So,
Well, yeah. I mean, how can you do the things that you do really well while
right.
trying to be drugged down by the things that you do maybe adequate, pretty good
Yeah.
if you did it.
Yeah.
But then they consume so much more of your time when you could be doing this, and I love that. I wrote
Yeah.
a post recently on my website, and I talked about having that dual strategy. You need to have as a business a good, strong website.
Hmm.
And what I love about yours is you have that post feature because that really drives people coming back to your website on a continual basis,
Yeah.
and then having that strong social media presence as well, and those two really hinge and drive much of your business.
Thank you. Are you seeing my last blog post on how being a hot mess has helped me in my business life?
I, I I think this, and I think so many times, and what I love about you is so many times people tend to make it all business,
Hmm.
and they forget that there's a personal side, and that's where people connect. And
Well, yeah, totally. One of the things that I have learned in the last years, especially since I've launched my DIY videos, is that people will buy from you when they've connected to you. There's
Right.
really a connection there. Sometimes it may not even be all about your product. They just really like you.
Right.
And I try to be the same person, on social media, on this video, and in real life, and try to make that really consistent. I also try to be really vulnerable about what our life looks like on a day-to-day basis, or what my business looks like, which is why I blog about things like about being a hot mess. I mean, and I blogged that because I wanted people to understand, I wanted small business owners to know that the way that they were created, the way that they operate in business is totally fine. We all are wired so
Right.
differently, and
Right.
it's
Right.
fascinating. So what works for me won't necessarily work for someone else, but the
Right.
way that but if it's working for them, keep doing what you're doing, and so not everybody wants to hang out on Facebook all day, but I do. I love that.
Yeah.
And, and so anyway.
I mean, it's part of. I mean, even as business owners, we're still social people. We still interact, and people want to interact with us. Now, I know there comes a time and point where it can become all that, and you're not doing your business.
Right.
But you still got to connect. So you said this good a little while ago. You're over the last year. Your page has really grown, and it's really become, I mean, a huge thing. I mean, 50,000 likes on a Facebook page. Most people dream of getting 1,000. Most
Oh,
people would be super happy with getting, 10,000. I think they'd be ecstatic. But you're
yeah,
starting to go into those lines that very few people go. So what
thank you.
what was the catalyst to that? Do you know? Did
Yeah,
you?
well, there's a couple things. So, I post frequently, and I actually have like a marketing video that it's for sale on my blog, where I talk to people about what I've noticed with a lot of small business owners is they put together a small business page, and then you never hear from them again on Facebook. Maybe a post
Exactly.
here, and then a week later. It's very sporadic, and Facebook has a lot of different algorithms and ways that they determine, what gets shown and things. And so you really need to be posting consistently, and
Right.
not everything needs to be about your business, because again, it's that relationship. I follow, a couple different people on social media that who have pages bigger than I do, who I love, who I think, I feel like, if I ran into them at Target, like I would know them, you know what I mean?
Right.
Because of
Exactly.
following their Facebook page. And people tell me that. I was out garage selling the other day, and somebody said, "Oh my gosh, it's the Magic Brush Girl." And we talked for a few minutes, and she said, "I feel like I already know you." And so social media is social. There is a relationship there. And, I think people would like to say that there isn't. Um, bad computers, that sort of thing. And that's not
Right.
true.
Right.
There is relationship. You and I knew each other
Right.
just from social media.
Right.
I can tell a lot about who you are just from your Facebook page, and that's great. And so I post really regularly on my Facebook page. I try to, bring my personal life onto my Facebook page,
Right.
and then I do pay for Facebook advertising, which has been huge. So while I'm making money, on selling my DIY videos, a lot of that I'm putting right back into the marketing.
Right. And that's true. And I try to explain to a lot of people, because when they start to begin to do business with me, you know, I try to immediately, especially a small business, I try to immediately point out, how did you connect with me?
Mhm.
And they stop for a moment and they think about that and they go, well, through the internet, through
Yeah.
Facebook. And I'm like, that's it right there.
Yeah.
That's the whole point of all this. You make connection. We wouldn't be having this conversation if it wouldn't have been through Facebook.
Yes,
'Cause I
absolutely.
probably,
And I'm just
I,
shocked at the open doors that come from social media. I mean, um, for small business owners that think that a social media presence is not important, that is so, a decade ago. It is so important today as a small business, even if you're not, like, so I sell a service. I've got a team of girls that work with me, and we go into people's homes and, paint for them. And then I also sell e-videos that get emailed to people. So it's not an actual product, but people that have an actual product, people that have a service, all of those businesses really have got to have a social media presence, because um, it it's like compound interest too.
right, right,
You
right.
kind of get going, and then it kind of starts snowballing and snowballing, and I just think that it's vital in today's world.
Yeah, and one of the things as you lead into that, it's if you're not and I try to teach that, if you're not continually bringing out that circle of influence, you know, you're not going to add new customers, you're not going to add new clients. You know, you have to increase your circle. And how can you do that? I mean, yes, you could do it like you did, door to door, many years ago,
Right.
but I mean, you can only do so many door to doors in one day. You know,
Absolutely.
and with social
Absolutely.
media, it just explodes. I mean, you couldn't have talked to 50,000 people in one day, you know,
Right.
14 years
Right.
ago.
And there's so many different areas of social media. I mean, you and I have talked a little bit about how I do have a Pinterest page for the Magic Brush. I do have a Twitter account. I'm on Pinterest. Um, and so, you know, I will see different people who are very comfortable on Twitter and have a huge Twitter following. And
Right.
if that's where you're comfortable, then absolutely, you know, plug in there and really drive your Twitter page. I follow a couple people who are DIYers who have great Pinterest boards, and you know that's where they get people to really follow them. And so if Facebook is not your deal, you know, find which of the kind of the big four, you know,
Right.
are, and go
Right.
there, be there, and be, you know, the very best you can be in that place.
Well, I mean, and I think you're a great example. Even find the big one. You know, get the one that you're really good at, and make that one shine, and it's going to drive the other ones. It really
Yeah,
will.
I kind of gimp along on Twitter, but but you know, it's funny because you can. The one thing that I'm trying to force myself to understand about Twitter, and I know it's true, um, is that you can have access to people via Twitter that you really can't anywhere else. Like I can tweet, you know, some big interior designer that's on HGTV, or
Right.
you know, the Shark Tank people,
Right.
and you know, and I don't know if they see those or if one of their people sees those, but it's an opportunity, you know, just to try to connect with people that you really, I don't know how else you can really do that.
Right.
Does that make
No,
sense?
I totally agree with you. You know, because I've been on Twitter almost from the beginning of Twitter. I mean, I was one of the early adopters, and my Twitter page has 8,000 people. So
Awesome.
it's
That is
it's it's
awesome.
it's way bigger than my Facebook. But I will tell you this: I get a lot more engagement and connection on Facebook, very much like you. So I don't know if it's because Facebook is more geared to me, you know, that I have. Early on, though, when we first got on Twitter, we had a lot of interaction. I mean, we used to have conversations all day long on
Uh-huh.
Twitter, but I do that now on Facebook, and it to me
Yeah.
it works. Facebook works. It's a great world. I love the way it's set up. I love the commenting. You know, I love the interaction. You know, I
Right.
love when people comment and I can comment back to them. I love that part.
Yes.
So,
I agree.
well, what as we kind of come to the end of this combo, what are some things you want to say that you could encourage? And I know you've encouraged a lot of business people already through what you've said, but what's one thing? Because I know when you write, you know, you're not just writing to show people how to do what you do, but you also do a lot of encouragement. You know, you're
Oh, thank
encouraging
you.
small business owners, you're inspiring people on a daily basis. So, what's one thing you could say to a small business person, you know, that maybe is starting out or maybe is kind of limping along and they're just like, I don't know if I should keep going.
Yeah. You know what? Those dark days, they come for every business owner, I think. I mean, you know, we would all like for our businesses to do this. The reality is sometimes they do this.
Right.
And I think the key is just um, it's A, important to have a passion, but B, that passion still has to put money on the table. And so find out in your passionate area, you know, what is it that people, what is the need that people have that they're willing to pay for? And, you know, go in that direction. And I think it's so important that even when you're discouraged, to have a good team around you that can, it doesn't have to be necessarily employees, but just cheerleaders in your life that will let you know, hey, you can do this. It's, you know, you might not have any business today, but it's going to happen. And so I think that that's vitally important because we all have days where we're, you know, want to get discouraged or things aren't looking like they should, or, you know, payroll's coming up. I mean, those are all things small business owners can relate to. And
Right.
all of us have, you know, those days. And so link arms with some people. If you can get a mentor, I am all about mentorship. Boy, I think that is just having people in your corner who can look you in the eye and tell you, you know what, you can do this. I
Right.
believe in you. And that does something just to the human spirit that there's no business plan or,
Right.
anything else equivalent to. So,
Right. And I would agree. They don't even have to be in your own industry.
absolutely.
To me, this is part of me being able to mentor. To sit down with you, hear what you have to say, and the little things that you've already said through this have encouraged me in different ways, and uh, to keep moving, to keep going, and I just knew that sitting down with you, I would learn a lot, and so I have a little motives behind it. I knew I would learn from you, so.
Oh,
Uh,
thank you. Well, I think you're doing a great thing, Jason. I really do. And there's a lot of people that could benefit from the social media services you're offering. So I hope that if there's people that are watching this that they're not comfortable with social media, or they really don't even know how to start, that they will try to learn from somebody that does know, and use your services, and grab onto that. It's important that when we find people that are going places and we see things that they're doing that are successful, that we learn from it and try to get under that mentorship, and we can learn so much from other people who have already done it before us. So
I totally agree with that. Now, and maybe you don't want to leak too much out, but do you have any big plans that you want to, or things you're thinking of? Because I've seen you now kind of expanding,
yeah.
do you want to tease anybody
Sure.
with
And
something
here's
coming
something to
up?
say about the expanding. The social media thing just opens up doors that would not otherwise be opened. It's just the way that the world is now working. So, I've got a couple things coming up. Okay, so Memorial Day weekend, I'm putting all of my do-it-yourself videos on sale, and I've
Awesome.
never done a 3-day sale before. So all day Saturday, Sunday, Monday of Memorial Day weekend. If you go to the Magic Brush blog or to my Facebook page, I'll have a code there. So I'm excited about that. So if you need to know how to paint your cabinets or how to faux your walls, we've got that. But I also have my own TV channel starting in the next
Whoa,
week.
awesome.
Yeah, so there will be tons of online videos on that channel that you can learn how to decorate your bathroom, learn how to decorate your kitchen, how to faux finish medallions on the ceiling or your spindles on your staircase. So I'm very excited about that. We've been working on it for a little while, and that should be rolling out in the very near future. So I have got people smarter than I putting that together.
That's the key, right?
That's the key. I could do this all day long. I can sit on video and chat all day long, but ask me to try to put together something on my web page, and I see stars.
Would you have ever dreamed that 14 years ago that this would be happening?
No. I mean, 14 years ago, honestly, I remember the conversation. You know how you just have some of those, times in life that you just kind of always remember. And I remember my husband and I talking, and I was offered another computer job actually after my layoff. And we talked about it, and we talked about it, and we prayed on it. And I said, you know what, I kind of want to see if I can make this painting thing work.
Right.
And he said, honey, go for it. And I remember that so often because there's been so many times that I think, I can't believe this is still working. I mean, it's unbelievable, to be where I'm at today. I just recently started doing speaking engagements here in Kansas City. I spoke at two different things, the fourth quarter last year, or once last year, once beginning of this year, and I'm talking to someone about traveling and doing some more speaking engagements.
Wow.
Already have something booked for over the Christmas season here in Kansas City, and here's what's funny: I didn't think that I liked being on stage, and I've enjoyed it thoroughly. And so, but again, most of those people found me through social media. So.
Right. Well, and I think that's the big point of this. You open these doors, you do it well, and you don't know where that's going to lead to, and
Absolutely.
it can totally. And I see it's a big catalyst to have expanded your business and even taken it. Who knows? Look up in 5 to 10 years, and who knows what it's going to be.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
Well, Jennifer, thank you so much. I totally appreciate you.
Yes.
The first little interview I've had on my website, and I appreciate your time and your energy and your excitement and your encouragement. It really has, it's blessed me. So
Thank
you
you.
so much.
Thank you so much.
Now,
I appreciate it.
before we go, tell everybody how they can find you just one last time.
Okay, sure. If you go to themagicbrushinc.com, and that's magicbrushinc.com, or just go into Facebook and do a search for the Magic Brush, I should come up first. For there might be a few other magic brushes, but you should be able to find me really easy. Big blonde hair, so.
And ultimately, through your website, they can find all your other links as well.
Absolutely. Yes, thank you so, so much.
Well, thank you, and thank you, all of you, for listening in today. And if you found this encouraging, I encourage you to go to my Facebook page and also my website as well. It's jasoncurley.me, and on Facebook you can search Jason Curley, and I'm usually the only Jason Curley that you can just about find there. I'm anywhere. If you search Jason Curley, you'll find me. So thank you for listening. Thank you for this day, and thank you for don't give up. Keep moving forward and always keep looking up.